Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video and I'm actually very excited about it. So as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about journaling and specifically how journaling can help you with your mental health and how it personally helped me with my anorexia recovery and still helps me with my general mental health recovery. I do just want to say I know I'm lit a little bit weirdly right now. I can't rely on natural light because it's so grey outside right now that the room is basically just grey and I don't have professional lights because I have nowhere to store them right now because I'm obviously living with my parents. So we're just gonna work with me being lit by a lamp. It's kind of cozy vibes. I don't know. Let's get into the video. I first and foremost want to say that if you are someone who beats yourself up because you can't stick at daily journaling or keeping it as a habit is really difficult for you, or you just feel like journaling is not for you, I want to make this video to reassure you and to also prove you wrong, because I also find it very stressful when I've watched like journaling videos in the past and it's been like, build a habit, do it every day, otherwise it's not going to help you. I really hate that because I'm not good at sticking to habits. I'm just not. Routines will work for me for a very short period of time and then I'll have to start it all over again. So although in my early recovery I did journal most days, I think that was more out of necessity than it was me keeping a habit. And also if you are someone who finds journaling awkward or you feel like you can't be honest with yourself in your journal, I have some tips for that. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what journaling is. Journaling obviously is the practice of writing in a journal, and journaling can be a range of things from keeping a diary, a daily diary, and documenting what you do in a day, to writing down your thoughts and feelings, to writing letters to people but not sending them. Like there's so many different versions of journaling, and today I'm just gonna share with you my favorite techniques that have helped me. The best bit about journaling as well is that it is such an affordable resource and you can do so much healing through journaling. So obviously all you need is a journal. These are two different ones that I have. I'm about to start this one. I'm not actually finished with this one. It's been my personal private journal since 2021. And when I was thinking about making this video, I was a little bit like, how can I make a journaling video when I've been keeping the same journal since 2021 and it's not even particularly thick? But I also wanted to talk about the fact that you can stop and start journaling at any time and it is still just as valuable. And also the fact that you don't have to write page after page after page. You don't have to have a beautiful aesthetic journal. Like, I'm gonna try not to show you any of what's actually written in here because it's all very personal, but like, it's not stunning. It's literally just ramble after ramble about how I feel. I'm holding this like I'm announcing that I've released a book. Guys, buy my new book. I think one of the first barriers that a lot of people face when they start journaling is the issue of privacy, and if you have had your journals read through before, it can feel really vulnerable, and yeah, just the idea of somebody reading your most vulnerable, deep, honest thoughts is horrible. So the first thing I would recommend is either getting a journal that literally states on it as a reminder that this is a safe space for you. I designed this one on Papier, not sponsored. I wrote a safe space on it so that every time I looked at this journal I could remember that actually this was a safe space for me and I could write what I wanted in there. And I literally said to my family and my boyfriend, do not look in this journal. There is nothing bad about anyone in there, but if I find out that you've read it, it is going to really take away a resource for me. And as far as I know, everyone's stuck to that. So I have continued to write my honest feelings in it. But if you don't want to like pay for a customized journal, because these can be quite expensive, this is the journal that I would recommend. This is actually a thinner version. I didn't realize it was so thin when I bought it, but if I say this, I feel like my German subscribers are gonna literally hate me. Luchtturm. 1917 journal. I've had 3 of these now. They are the best quality paper and they feel so nice and they come in so many different colours. I would just probably write in the front page, privacy notice, if lost please return to your name and then your number. Please respect my privacy and do not read this, and you just have to kind of trust that people won't. Or you can always do the old method of just hiding the journal so that nobody can find it. I think it is also about remembering that if somebody reads your journal, that is way more weird behaviour from them than anything you've written in the journal. So the number one technique that I use, and I have literally been using this since I started journaling, is stream of consciousness journaling. And I have to credit the stream of consciousness name of this form of journaling to a creator whose lesson I watched on Skillshare. I actually learnt the term stream of consciousness from her, because I had kind of been doing that journal technique for a long time, but I'd never really put a name to it, and I actually feel like it's leveled up my journaling practice by knowing that that's what it is. And yeah, today's video is actually sponsored by Skillshare, which I am so grateful for, and I actually learned so many tips and tricks from the journaling class that I took on Skillshare, and I'm really excited to take more classes with them because oh my goodness, they have so many topics and skills that you can learn on there. There's so many things that I've been wanting to get better at but feeling a bit overwhelmed and not really knowing where to start. In the next week or so I want to take a class on colour grading my videos because, as I said about the lighting, I kind of suffer with the lighting in this house, and I also really want to learn to use my film camera properly. So those are two classes that I found and that I'm going to take, which is like crazy and so exciting. Whether you want to literally learn the basics of watercolour painting or learn how to start a creative business, Skillshare will have classes to take you from a beginner to a pro. Before I get on with the rest of the video, I just want to let you know that Skillshare has actually given me a discount code so that the first— okay, I said this whole thing really wrong. Basically, the first 500 of you to use my link will get a free month of Skillshare and 40% off your first year's membership of Skillshare. So yeah, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video because you have honestly leveled up my journaling practice. Stream of consciousness journaling is basically the practice of writing whatever comes into your head. Like, that is the best way to describe it. As I said, I did that in my early recovery, but I don't feel like I was doing it as freely then, and I sometimes would write as if someone was going to read it, and I don't find that as healing. Whereas in the past couple days, weeks, I've been literally writing 5 pages at a time of just every single thought. It doesn't have to make sense, it doesn't have to have punctuation, it doesn't have to be perfect grammar, it doesn't have to be neat. Mine literally will go from deep feelings to like, I need to remember to do my laundry, and back to deep feelings with no punctuation. And it's just so freeing because when you read back on it, you can really learn what is actually going on in your subconscious. And actually I think that there is so much growth that can come from paying attention to where your thoughts are going and not forcing them in any direction and not forcing yourself to think a certain thing. I've been learning a lot about myself recently, so yep, stream of consciousness journaling is the #1 journaling technique that I've used that has really helped me. Especially for perfectionists, I think it really just takes out that need to be perfect and need for it to be super neat, because this is your journal. No one's going to look at this apart from you, and it does not have to be neat or perfect. You are allowed to cross words out or spell them wrong or squiggle all over the page. You can do what you want, it's your journal. The next journaling technique, and something that I did actually use as well when I was in my early recovery, was letter writing. I think mine was part of my therapy, but I did an exercise where I wrote a letter to my 18-year-old self, and I wrote a letter to my future self, and I remember that being a really emotional and very healing experience that sort of spurred me on and gave me a lot more compassion for myself. And I think, you know, writing letters and talking to your past self or your future self as if you're a different person can really give you a new perspective on what you're going through now, what you were going through back then, and it can help you be really compassionate to yourself but also make changes for the future. So 4 prompts if you wanted to try writing unsent letters: dear younger me, and then go on to write about things that you wish you could tell your younger self, things that you wish you had known back then, maybe apologies. I know in mine I apologised a lot for the way I treated myself and spoke to myself. Dear 70-year-old me. I've seen a lot of things on social media recently talking about how you don't want to be 80 and looking back and wondering why you spent so many years hating yourself and avoiding food and not eating all the yummy things or joining in on experiences and things like that. And I think writing a letter to your 70-year-old self would be really helpful to kind of get that message into you and realise that actually making changes now in your life is not just going to benefit the you that you know now, but the you who will be 70, 80, 90, maybe even 100. Writing a letter to somebody that you don't speak to anymore, but maybe somebody that you miss, or maybe somebody that had a big part in your life and you think about them sometimes even if you don't really miss them. Just writing a letter to them, and then with these letters you can always literally just rip them up, shred them, put them on the fire, like flush them down the toilet, whatever. Nobody ever has to read them. Or even you could write to somebody who hurt you in the past. I feel like that one could give people a lot of closure if there's someone who's hurt you and you're trying to move on from it. So yeah, that is unsent letters, and I think that would be a really helpful and healing practice for a lot of people. Lastly, I just wanted to give you some journaling prompts because I know it can be really hard to get started and just see an empty page and fill it with things. So these are some journaling prompts that you can use if you want to get started with journaling. The first one is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? and where would you want to be in 5 years? And I know they basically sound like the same thing, but where would you be in 5 years if you continued on the trajectory that you're on now, especially if you are struggling with an eating disorder right now or struggling with your mental health? If you carry on the way you are now, where will you be in 5 years versus where do you want to be in 5 years? So for example, I think for me, where do I see myself in 5 years? I see myself moved out, hopefully owning my own flat or house or whatever with my boyfriend. I hope that I have more independence, and I hope that I can go out and about completely by myself and get trains and see friends, and that I travel and things like that. So yeah, yours could look like anything. The second journal prompt is write down traits and characteristics of your ideal self, as in the person that you would love to become or the person that you would love to be. And along with that, identify any anxieties or uncertainties that make you feel like you are not that person right now or that are blocking you from becoming that person. One thing I would say about that is don't make it about physical attributes. When I say who do you want to become, I'm not asking you what weight you want to be. I'm asking you inside who you want to be. And the last prompt is what is holding you back right now? What do you feel is standing in your way? This could apply to anything really, and I think that leaving it open would probably be the best for anyone who wants to use that prompt. So those are my 3 prompts and my 2 favorite journaling techniques. And yeah, just a final bit of advice when it comes to journaling is you don't have to be super regular with it, but maybe keep your journal and pen somewhere accessible where you can see it, which will kind of remind you. And if you are someone that does have a very strict and regimented morning routine and you can stick to that, maybe time block it in to your morning. I hope that this video was helpful. I've actually been asked so many times about videos to do with journaling. Here it is. Those are my journaling techniques. I like it because I think they're very simple and you don't really need anything. You just need your brain and a pen and paper. So yeah, I will leave the Skillshare link in the description. Please check that out if there's a skill you want to learn or anything. I will hopefully see you on Sunday. If not, I'll see you next Sunday. We'll see. But yeah, please like, please subscribe. I love having you all here, and I will see you next week.